I'm Brad Sugars. Let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to do today. The Billionaire in Training. When I wrote the book called Billionaire in Training, it was really about how people could say, okay, millionaire just isn't rich anymore. What do I need to go for? So the strategy of today in 90 minutes together, that's right, 90 minutes of you and me together, how you can simply and happily build the life of your dreams through business and investing is really what we're looking for. So think about this. How do we get there? Well, let's start with the agenda of today. We've only got a little bit of time together, but we are going to do three main things. Number one, confidence, where you had uncertainty. When it comes to the subject of money, comes to the subject of business and investing, this is what we're aiming to achieve. Second, clarity, where there was once confusion for you. So we're going to go in for confidence, clarity. And third of all, my main goal is to help you unlock that true potential you have for you to make your massive dent in the universe out there. What are you going to do? But most of all, if nothing else gets achieved today, I'm here to make you a bunch of money and lots of it. If that's exciting to you, type now. Actually, I'm going to give you a challenge. I want you to type the word yes without using the word yes for me. If it's exciting for you to be here today, give me a yes without using the word yes, okay? What's your way of saying it? Positive. Okay, let's go. Let's get into this thing. Hell yeah. Hey, Chantal, good to have you here. For sure. See, that's a good way. Use a different language. Excellent, excellent way to do it. All right, so here's what I need from you, though, okay? Imagine I teach you here today and 2-3 years from now, I meet you and you're still in the same economic situation you're in today. Nothing pains me more than someone who comes, learns, and doesn't do. So what I need from you today is doing this, okay? The Warren Buffett. This is actually, I got to play poker with Mr. Buffett, and that's that top one there where he had his green poker shirt on. I went all in on suited ace king, and I still got beat by it. It would have been great to say I took down the great Warren Buffett. But as he says, you only have to do a very few things right in your life, as you don't do too many things wrong. Today is not just about doing the right things, it's about saving you from doing the wrong things. But what I need from you is an agreement. Do we agree that you will implement what you learned today? If you agree to implementation, give me a yes, okay? Again, can't use the word yes. Give me a yes without the word yes and without what you used previously, okay? What is it that you're going to do? Are you going to implement what you got? Clinton, you got it, of course. Great time. Absolutely, absolutely, definitely. Affirmative. I like that one. That's a great way of saying yes. So, how do we get there? Well, let me give you my past 30 years in 3 minutes or less, if I can. 30 years ago, in 1993, a gentleman named Rob Kiyosaki invited me to start being a teacher on his programs. Yeah, that's me and him top center, that skinny kid with the glasses and the funny hat. You'll also see Bill Sharpoff and John Burley in those pictures, Keith Cunningham in those pictures, Dolph DeRoos in those pictures. We were the early teachers with Rob out there teaching this world. He started me in Hawaii. And I fell in love with teaching. And interestingly enough, I started ActionCOACH that year. And now with more than 1,000, or it's actually, we're now at 1,100 partners and offices around the world in more than 83 countries. And of course, we do hundreds of millions a year across the world. And so I don't tell you this to impress you, but to impress upon you. What you're going to learn today is what I do. Okay, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've been teaching this for 30 years. See, ActionCOACH I started that company with a very important vision: world abundance through business re-education. That there is the door to my second office. My first office was in my parents' house. Okay, I had to go back and move anyway. That's a whole other story. But that's where the business started, 303 Coronation Drive, 30 years ago this August. So I'm having my 30th birthday celebration next month. My vision of creating abundance for everybody in the world by re-educating on business. And I want to make you a part of that vision here today. Now my partners around the world, actually Ford and Barb, you'll see them in the background. Juliet's their daughter. They started with me at ActionCOACH almost 20 years ago now. And now their daughter runs the business for them, just to give you an idea of just how much we do out there in the world. They're based in Tampa and St. Pete in Florida. Now, this is, see, I don't joke with you. I've been doing this for 30 years. 30 years I've been out there teaching this thing. Yeah, back when I had glasses, 30 years I've been traveling the world with this thing and doing it and working my tail off. That's my first franchise partner. Actually, I go back one, Steve Leach. He just retired the other day. I'm like, dang, maybe I should retire. But no, I love doing this thing. I teach and I teach. My book's in airports, teaching all over the world. England, that one, oh, I forget where that one was. Oh, that was up in, it was either Cincinnati, somewhere in Ohio. Teaching, you name it, I've taught there. That one's in London. That one, where was that? Bali, there you go. A couple in Bali, Indonesia. You name the type of teaching, I've done it. Worn ties, look at that. There's Billionaire in 2007. Look at that. I was doing a world tour in 2007. Books all over the place. Fashion faux pas. Yes, I've done the fashion faux pas as well as any person. That was actually my first ever stage in Perth, Western Australia at the, what's the big casino there? I forget what it's called now, but that's 30 years of doing this stuff, okay? And teaching and teaching and teaching. Now, here's the difference between then and now. Actually, one of the advantages of 30 years of teaching is that I have students who've been with me 30 years. So I see the results of their 30 years of work. John is based down in Texas. 2005 is when I first taught him. He sent me a text the other day saying how he's hit 300 million. And he came over to my house to have a beer just to celebrate. Actually, we're having a rum and a scotch right there. Actually, that's his, the red one. I cut the photo off, unfortunately. That's the new racetrack car. So during COVID, I hit 50, and here's the challenge with that. First of all, I took the family to Mexico to celebrate. Didn't have the big party, but just had the family event. But I was trying to teach during COVID. I literally had to steal my daughter's ring light to be able to film and teach from my home. And, you know, the whole thing, you'll see I've even got my shoes off in that picture, trying to make the picture work for us. But what I did is I bought myself a TV studio. I actually built it in my office here in Las Vegas and built that TV studio so I could teach all around the world, and hence what we're doing here today. I got to record some of the most brilliant stuff. I literally, during COVID, sat down and said, what can I teach on business? What can I teach about success? What can I teach about wealth? And I got in my TV studio and I just recorded and recorded and recorded. And I'm going to tell you more about that in just a little bit as to how you can access everything I've ever taught in my entire life. So what are we going to cover? I'm going to teach you the formula for success. I'm going to take you through the ladder of what it takes to be a billionaire in training, how that actually works, okay? I'm going to take you through the system of how you actually really make money in business. I'm going to take you through the system of how you make real money in real estate. But before we do, have a question for you. And again, I need a yes from you, but I can't get the word yes. It has to be a yes in a different form. I want every single one of you, I want you to go to that chat window and ask, are you willing to learn and grow into your goals? Because goals don't just happen. You must grow into your goals. You've got to do it. Oh, I like it. We're getting some swear words in there. Good. We got some Australians in the house, maybe. People say, I excuse my French. I say, excuse my Australian, because that's the way we grew up. We were, you know, us convicts. That's the way. Totes my goats. Definite. That one. Completely willing. Excellent. Because here's the thing. 80% of people don't show up to things. 20% of people do what's needed to be done, and 20% of people get the benefit of it. But the big thing is you got to learn before you earn. That's the one, Natalie. Absolutely. Keep going, Archie. You got this thing. If you want to go for billionaire, not millionaire, you got to grow. You've got to do it. You got to keep making sure that you keep learning and growing. So me learning, there's Jeffrey Gittimer. He's one of my favorite teachers. Phil and Scott, a couple of my other favorite teachers. Mari, oh my God, the best person on Facebook. Stedman Graham, great leadership coach. He's better known as Oprah's husband, but Ivan Meisner, the head of BNI, Michael Port, Book Yourself Sold, Marshall Goldsmith, one of my great mentors over the years, Keith Cunningham. Keith is the original Rich Dad of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He's the actual guy that taught it. In 1993, I sat at a breakfast table. He drew on a napkin the two flip charts, or the 2 pages of the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, for me, Rob Kiyosaki, and Blair Singer. There was 4 of us at that table at that point in time. Lady Michelle Moan, the Baroness of Mayfair, phenomenal teacher around the subject of business, great friend and someone that I've had the pleasure to learn from. Dr. Jim Kim, This was actually, we were in the World Bank office doing a consulting session with all of the executives at the World Bank about how they can help small business owners around the world. Then I started this business. I started a business called BizX. I don't know if you've ever been to one of my BizX programs, but my company brings in all of the best trainers in the world, and I get to learn from them all. Like how easy is my life? I get to pay them and therefore learn them. My original mentor, Paul Dunn, still my mentor today, coming to join me at my 30th birthday party for ActionCOACH in Thailand in a few weeks' time. Dame DC Cordova, she was with me in Hawaii at my 29th birthday party for ActionCOACH last year. Phenomenal mentors. Sir Richard Branson actually has great taste in clothing. And B. Les Brown, another one of my original mentors that taught me the things. Oh, Grant, that's not Grant being my mentor. That's me being his mentor on Power Players. So all sorts of different things. So here's the challenge that we are confronted with in the next 90 minutes, okay? If you think about how is it that I'm going to take 20,000 hours of learning, knowledge, application, chairman of companies, all of that stuff, how do we take that and teach it to you to make a bottom line impact in your life the moment you act? How do we do that here today? This is the challenge for you and I. Well, here's the thing. Simple models, and that's what I'm going to break it down for you with today. Simplistic models. Everything I do is based on that Einstein philosophy. If you got to make it simple, if you don't understand it simply enough, then definitely you can't do it. So here's 30 years in one very powerful system that we're going to do. The Billionaire in Training system. I'm going to state it very clearly. Write this down. This is what I want you to understand about being a billionaire in training. This is how you can happily and simply create your life on purpose with health, wealth, and happiness by understanding systems for both cash flow and capital to build generational wealth for you and your family. You know, I was lucky enough as a young man to meet General Schwarzkopf. He led the forces in Desert Storm. The first time I met him, he was in full uniform, scary looking fella. The second time I met him, we're having a cocktail, and he was in a suit, not as scary. But as he says, when placed in command, take charge. Well, you are placed in command of your life. Will you take charge? You're placed in command of your finances. Will you take charge? Yes or yes? So the book, it's sold literally hundreds of thousands of copies worldwide, this one here. I'd like it to be millions, maybe even billions one day. So we're keeping going and we're keeping growing. Here's the system that we're going to do. All right, we're going to start with the success formula. 17 years of studying the success it took me to develop this formula and create it. But what happens is by the time you understand this formula, things happen faster. Dreams and goals become a reality much faster. What I noticed is that when I taught this to people, it started them getting their reality of what they wanted to be life started coming much faster to them. Here's why. Let's go take a look at it. Your dreams multiplied by your goals, multiplied again by the learning you do. And this one's vital, that learning one, because multiplied by your plans, then your actions equals your success. So let's break this down. Your dreams. Those who do not have massive dreams don't achieve massive things. If you do not document your dreams, if people say, I don't know what my dreams are. Well, Brad, you know, W. Somerset Maugham, he said it best. He said, nothing if not at first a dream. Nothing if not at first a dream. And I sit back and I think about that. How big are your dreams and goals? Because if you don't have the big ones, then that's where we got to do it. So give me a word that describes how big your dreams and goals are. Type it into the chat window. Yes, everyone get in that chat window and make sure you type it in. What is the size of your dreams and your goals right now? Because that's what we're going for. I don't want you to be a billionaire in training if your dreams and goals are to make an extra 1,000 a month. That doesn't work. Yes, we can make that a stepping stone. Scary as shit. I love that. Not big enough. Thank you for your honesty, Chantel. Love it. Massive space, Evie. Excellent. So dreams are things that are 10 to 20 years out. Dreams are things that you don't know how they're going to happen. You don't know if they're going to happen. They're like, I got no idea. But if in the ideal world, in my lifetime, I would like this to happen type thing. Goals is anything inside 5 years. So again, how you create those goals, how you document and write them down. And not just business goals or money goals, but health goals, fitness goals, relationship goals, family goals. What are your goals? Vacation goals. These are the things we got to have in our life and in our business. Now, once you know your goals, here's the thing. Then you know what you got to learn. If you say one of your goals is to double the size of your business or 10-fold the size of your business or 30x your business, then you got to do some learning. You got to study other people that have done that. And that's what I want you to be thinking about here. By the way, the first 10 people who take me up on my deal today, I'm going to give you something super special that no one else ever gets. So dream, goal, learn, then you got to create a plan. So many people don't do planning. And you know, what's the most important plan? The daily plan. Plan every single day. At the end of your day, plan the following day. If you take away one strategy on productivity from me today, it's at the end of your day, plan the next day. Make a list of everything you got to get done the next day. Dream, goal, learn, plan, act. That's how you create success. So give yourself a score out of 10 for each of those 5 areas. What's your score out of 10 for all of those 5 areas? Now add to that this one. B times do equals have. If you build you, you build the plan. See, who you are, B, times what you do equals what you have. So if we go backwards a step and say, okay, once you define your dreams and goals, once you know what your dreams and goals are, then you've actually defined what you want to have. Work backwards from what you want to have, and you can define, what do I need to do? Again, go backwards from what you want to have, your dreams and goals, and you say, what do I need to do? I need to do this learning, I need to create this plan, and then I need to get to work. So that then brings us to, who do I need to become? Who do you need to become? How do you need to grow? How do we get you growing so that this will work for you in the future? B times do equals have is the formula for success. Now, here's the thing. We can spend hours, days, months creating your dreams and goals. I go back to the question I already asked you. Are you willing to commit to the growth? Are you willing to commit to your future? Stay with that question actually for a second, team. Are you willing to commit to your future? In other words, are you willing to go through the painful process of growth? I remember at 16 years of age, I set the goal. I met Jim Rohn, E. James Rohn. And Mr. Rohn said to me one thing. He said, you know, you got to grow into your dreams and goals. Your dreams and goals can only become a reality when you become that person that creates that reality. And I committed myself right there and then to do the learning, to do the study, to do the acquisition of knowledge, to become the person that would make my dreams and goals a reality. You know, I showed you a picture of me and Richard before, but this is Richard actually, his statement. If somebody offers you an amazing opportunity, but you're not sure you can do it, say yes, then learn how to do it later. You'll notice Richard quotes me in his blog over there on the left. It's one of those things where, you know, the more I've been teaching this, after 30 years of doing it, I want to give you this opportunity. So the ladder that we're going to follow here, okay, this is something, all right, you need to follow and understand. Start taking notes on this. What are the steps you've got to climb? If this stuff was taught to people at day one in their life in school, then it would be so much simpler than what we're doing. If over your lifetime, you'll probably buy and sell many companies, okay, especially if you learn from me, you'll look at how you capitalize up. See, capitalization is key. Most people get stuck in the 40, 40, 40. They work 40 hours a week for 40 years to live on 40% of what they had. That's not a good system. It's not something we ever want to see here. We are aiming at billionaire in training. And by the way, if you shoot for billionaire and you fall short and you get like 80 million or 120 million or 30 million, are you going to be okay? Yes, you're going to be okay at that point in time. So how does the ladder work? Let's start this out. Let's understand what we do. So level -1 is the beginning. Why level -1? Well, at level -1, you're a student. A student is a negative. Why? It costs money to be a student. It costs money to go out and learn things. And whether it costs you money, your parents money, or society money, someone's got to pay for you to learn. Now, why are we teaching you how those things? We're teaching you that so you can become an employee. So what does that mean? A student is an apprentice employee. Think of it that way. As a student, you're an apprentice employee. Well, what are you an apprentice of when you're an employee? Well, if you do employeeship right, you're an apprentice at owning your own business. You're an apprentice at becoming self-employed. Now, here's the problem. Most people do the employee apprenticeship wrong. They do one apprenticeship 30 times over. They stay in the same job for 30 years. They learn one thing 30 years in a row. Instead of, and I guess I was lucky as a young man, I was able to change. See, I started out as an accountant. I went to college and and started out as an accountant. Any other accountants here? Wave at me or type yeah if you're an accountant on this call. Thanks for admitting to that in front of other people. Those of you waving, it's like, yeah, go to the accountants. Well, one of the things was I was lucky enough as a young man that I didn't keep many jobs. I got to move jobs often. Yes, I got 5. But what I learned that I was not good at working for other people. I was not great at working for other people. So what I found was, though, that by doing a job in sales, I got paid to learn sales. By doing a job in marketing, I got paid to learn marketing. By doing a job in finance, I got paid to learn finance. And the more I got paid to learn these things, the better I realized I was being an employee. So you don't want to be an employee too much longer than it takes you to learn these things. Once you've been an employee and you've learned enough, then you move into self-employed. Now, self-employed is a great starting point, but here's the challenge. What happens for most people at self-employed? They start the business, they build the business, they end up saying, oh, to heck with it, I'm just going to give up. I'm going to go back to, what I did before, because having a job is easier than running your own business. Yes, why? Because there's a lot to learn at self-employed. There's a ton to learn at self-employed. You got to learn sales, you got to learn marketing, you got to learn finance, you got to learn purchasing, you got to learn legals, you got to learn leasing, you just got to learn so much. That's why the hardest part of success is not the doing. The hardest part of success is the learning aspect of it. So from self-employed, we go to manager. So self-employed is kind of like the seesaw, right? Find the work, do the work, make the sale, do the work, make the sale, do the work, make the sale, do the work, okay? Manager is where you start to employ people. And this is where, and right in the beginning, when you employ others, they don't work for you, you work for them. You have to work harder to make enough money to pay their wages in the beginning. Now, gradually the scales tip as you learn a bunch more. And again, what do you got to learn at manager? You got to learn management, leadership, recruiting, training, induction. You got to learn systemization, planning, all of these things to learn. See, business ownership, becoming a great owner is different to becoming great at the job of the business. Becoming great at the job of the business is relatively easy. Becoming great at being an owner of a business is very, very different. So you move from manager up to owner. By the way, if the self-employed is the seesaw, manager is like the merry-go-round. You're running round and round in circles, putting out fires the people that you employed started. Okay, so owner, what is owner? Well, to get to owner, you need to write this down. Write down my definition of a business, gang. My definition of a business is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. A commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. If you have to go in, it's not a business. If you have to go in there, and I guess I go back to my early days in business. I thought in my early days that my job as the owner was to be the hardest working person in the business. I thought that was my job. And what I realized later on is that me working that hard actually covered up the problems in the business. Me working that hard made more problems in the business because it covered up the fact that my salespeople weren't doing the right job. It covered up the fact that my marketing people weren't doing it. I thought my job was to be the hardest working person in the room. What I realized is my job was to hire people that worked harder than me. I realized my job was to hire the great people who did that great job. Now, what I want to know from you when I finish this ladder is what number are you on this level right now? What number are you on this level right now? So owner is where you build a business that works so you don't have to. Let me state that again. An owner is someone who builds a business that works so you don't have to anymore. Now, once you've got the business running without you, creating profits, then your job is to move up to investor. We're going to take a look at we're going to mostly focus on that level today, level 4, okay? If you're at levels 0 to 3, go contact one of my team at ActionCOACH. Go get to a coach and have them help you grow your business out there in the marketplace. You got that, John? Mike, you good with that? Lorraine, Shauna? Okay, let's make sure that we're learning this stuff. So finally, we get to the level called entrepreneur, okay? The entrepreneur is level 5. So an investor is someone who takes their money and invests it into a deal. So you'll invest it into a business, invest it into a property or a piece of real estate. You'll invest it into shares. An entrepreneur is someone who creates investments for others to join. An entrepreneur is someone who creates investments for others to join. So someone will invest in the real estate deal I put together. Someone will invest in the business deal I put together. Someone will invest with me. So that's what we're looking for when we are at that level called entrepreneur. Now we're going to go into level 4 and 5 more as we go through this. So give me your number. What number are you at right now? What number are you at right now on that scale? From level -1, for some of you that are students on here today, right through to level 5, those of you that are creating deals out there into the marketplace, okay? Which level are you playing at right now? We're getting a lot of 2s and 3s. Got a couple of 5s, fantastic. Where are you at out there in the marketplace right now? So again, back to this commitment thing. I want to remind you that commitment is key. So many people say maybe next time. My question to you is a very simple one. Can you learn this? If you can learn it, you can do it. If you can learn it and you can do it, you can achieve it. It's not complex from that place. So yes or yes, can you commit to yourself to learning this thing? You know, one of the things, and luckily enough, I got to be on Fran Drescher. You guys know her as the nanny. That's her best friend, Susan, right there. One of the great things when I was on the board of her charity, Cancer Schmancer, up in New York, is I got to learn a lot from Fran. Her level of commitment to things is amazing. You know, but as she said up there, if we don't empower ourselves with knowledge, then we're going to be led down a garden path. And she teaches so much about health today. Love what she does. But that's so powerful. We got to get the knowledge. So 10 years is faster than never. You know, I get sick and tired of people saying, you know, can you teach me to get rich quick? Get sick and tired of it, because there is a much better and more certain way. And I always tell people it takes 10 years to build wealth. And there's 2 reasons it takes 10 years to build wealth. And it's not complex. There are times in the market when the market is ready for investment, and there are times in the market when the market is not ready for investment. There are times when you're better to be in real estate than business. There's times when you're better to be in the stock market than real estate. There's times to be in all of these different things. But ultimately, the reason it takes 10 years to get to be wealthy is not just because of the economic cycle. See, if you take a look at the economic cycles and we just go back to, say, we go back to 2000. So you look at the last 23 years of how the economic cycles have run. What happened going up to 2000? We had a massive boom going up to 2000. Why? It was this simple thing called Y2K. Everyone was buying computers, buying software to get through the millennial bug. We then go through that and we have a massive downturn after that, and we go through it. And then we have a boom up until 2008. You all remember that boom till 2008. And then there's the housing crisis, right? And there's always a crisis every 7 to 10 years. It doesn't matter what you're in, there's a crisis every 7 to 10 years. We don't know what it is all the time, but we know there's going to be a crisis every 7 to 10 years. So that economic boom up till 2008 went into a fall. Now, it was a massive fall. It was a multi-year fall and a multi-year economic winter. But in 2012, we started spring, and we went through to 2020, where we had an 8-year positive run worldwide. Phenomenal run worldwide. 8 years of spring and summer. Now, if you harvested, you're in a great place. If you didn't harvest, when we had the downturn from 2021 to 2022, you got beat up in that thing. And a lot of people don't understand these cycles, and therefore they get beat up. My theory is simple. Learn the cycles, understand the cycles, know where you're at in the cycle, and therefore you can go out there and create serious wealth based on this thing. So it takes 10 years for 2 reasons. One, you got to learn it. Second is the economic cycles. Now, if you want serious wealth in your life, there's one key principle you got to understand. What is the key principle? Write it down. I see some of you not writing things. Yes, I have all of your pictures on my screen, Belinda. I can see you, Jason. Excellent work, Kevin, for writing that down. Lorraine, where are you even on your screen? Hurry up and come back to the screen, Lorraine. Stop getting food. All right, leverage. What is leverage? Yes, I'm watching through the screens. It's kind of fun. Leverage, what is it? Well, when I first learned the term leverage, I learned it from a mathematical formula. And the mathematical formula for leverage is divide to multiply. You divide something up. You break it into the smaller parts, and from the smaller parts, you increase each one, and therefore you do it. If you've ever seen my 5 ways to multiply a business profit, it is an example of that. If you haven't seen that, go on my YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel where you get all my podcasts and webinar recordings. But understand that 5 ways to multiply a business profits. Okay. Now, leverage, understanding the mathematical formula, it made sense to me, but I didn't know how to apply it. So then someone taught it to me saying, you know, it's more with less. You want to create ever more with ever less. So a bigger return with less input, bigger return, less input. I'm like, okay, I understand that, but I still don't know how to use it. So here's my definition of this thing called leverage. Okay. This is the way I teach it to everyone. Do the work once, get paid forever. Do the work one time and get paid forever. Now, if you think about it from that perspective, what is our job in business? Build a business once, get paid forever. Real estate, buy a piece of real estate once, get paid forever. What's this is my latest book. If you haven't read this book, Raise Your Hand Marketing, okay? Released in the UK and the US right now. We're releasing it in Asia Pacific. Raise Your Hand Marketing. Now, why is that important? Here's the question. How many times did I write the book? This is not a trick question, okay? Raise your hand up, show me how many times I wrote the book. 1 time. How long will I get paid for that? Think about that for a second. I do the work 1 time, but I get paid for the rest of my life. In fact, because it's a book, I have 75 years after I die that I keep getting paid for it. So you think about what we're aiming to do here today. Is leverage important? Working once and getting paid forever? Yes, let's break that down for a business. A business that gets a customer once and only has 1 thing to sell them is not leveraged. You got to get a customer once and keep them coming back over and over and over again. Subscription-based business, royalty-based businesses. How do you get it once and get paid forever? So that's where we're aiming to be by this thing. Are you still with me? All right. So here's the thing. Can you be ready for this next economic cycle? Okay, when you get into my in-depth stuff, I actually show you every month where we're at in that cycle. On my question and answer sessions every month, where are we at in that economic cycle? You want to be in my inner circle so that you see this stuff with me every single month. But here's the biggest question. What if it took you 1 year of learning? What if in 1 year you could learn enough about money that you could have a lifetime of earning based on that knowledge? Commit yourself to building the knowledge so that you don't ever have to worry about money again. Commit yourself to doing that. That is definitely a part of it. Well, luckily enough, I got to help Eva and her then partner Tony with the charity stuff they were doing. But when she says this, education is the single most powerful tool to help people pull themselves out of poverty and change their life trajectory. I cannot think of a better way to say it than she did right there. So, 2 sides to money. We're going to learn both of them, okay? So I want you to make a note of both of the sides of money. What are we going to be doing and how are we going to do it? If you have one side mastered, you can still be doing great, but you're never going to be doing phenomenal unless you master both sides. Income and assets have to be together. If you're asset rich and cash flow poor, you can get crushed out there. If you're cash flow rich and asset poor, you can get crushed out there in the market. If you want financial freedom, then we have to learn both of these things. If you want serious financial freedom, this is what you want to have. So, how it works. On the left-hand side, if you divide the page down like this, okay, so put a diagonal line across your page. On the left-hand side, when it's 100% up the top here, okay, we put the word make. So this is about making money. Phase 1 of money is making money. How do you make money? So, okay, you go to work. When you first start out, 100% of your income comes from you going out and making money, okay? You got to go to work every single day. Now, a percentage of everything you make should be invested. The percentage you choose is how fast you get to being the other side of this thing. If you say, okay, I suggest you invest 10% of your income. I remember as a kid reading The Richest Man in Babylon, Think and Grow Rich, W.S. Clark, all of these great books on money. And what they said is you got to invest 10% in what you're doing. These days, I would teach that as a much higher percentage. Again, at my inner circle, I take you through all of this stuff. But making money and managing money are your 2 phases. So phase 1 is how to make it. Phase 2 is how to manage it. Where you want to get to is where you've stopped having to make it and all you have to do is manage it. where all you're doing is managing the money you already made, then you are called financially free. If all you're doing is managing the money you've already made. So how do we get there? Well, let's take a look. From a cash flow thing, we got to start at the bottom, which is active cash flow, doing a job. Whether the job is in someone else's business or your own business doesn't matter. If you have to show up for the money to turn in, that's not leverage. That's do the work once, get paid once. Okay? Do the work once, get paid once. I don't care if you have your own business or if you work for someone else. That's active income. Our first goal is to learn how to turn that to passive income. We do that through business, building a business that works so you don't have to. So our first goal is to create passive income, and enough passive income to replace your old income, okay? Or at least, in my case, I teach people to double their existing income, double your active income with passive income, and then you can stop working on a day-to-day basis. We'll get to why that is later on. Finally, we get to massive income. Now, here's a challenge I'm going to put to you. Most people learn investing way too early. I'm going to state that again. Most people start learning how to invest way too early. Why? They have not learned enough about how to make money. They're not making $500,000 or $1 million a year. They're not making enough money to where investing is easy. If you're only making 100 grand a year and you're trying to invest 5, 10, 20 grand a year and build your life, that's very hard. I would much prefer you spent more time learning how to build your business and build cash flow so that you're making $500,000, $1 million a year, and then your investing becomes real easy. Then your investing is quite simple. So that other side of it, cash flow is side one, side two is capital. Now, when you start investing, you start out as what's called retail investing. Whether you're investing in business or real estate or shares, retail investing is where you have a smaller amount of money, so you're not able to buy at wholesale. You have a less knowledge, so you're not able to buy at wholesale. One of the things I love doing is teaching people how to move through to wholesale buying, because what it means is you make a profit on day one. So whether you're buying businesses, whether you're buying real estate, whether you're buying shares, we've got to move to a point where we're buying at wholesale. So therefore, we know we make a profit on day one. Finally, we move with capital to creation of capital. If I build a franchise business, if I build a business and then I franchise it, I am creating capital out of thin air. If I buy a piece of real estate and I develop property on that, I am creating capital out of thin air. Okay, if I build a business and I take it to the stock market, right now I'm in the middle of building a venture capital fund. I build that fund, I'm creating an investment that other people can come and invest with me, if that makes sense. If you want to invest, you got to create capital. That's the biggest way, and that's where the real wealth is created. But here's the thing. You got to learn up each level. You can't just start at the top type thing. So it's a partnership of the two finances. If you commit yourself to massive income, you've got to commit yourself, first of all, to passive income. If you commit to generational wealth, then it's not just enough to feel great, but it's enough for generations to come. If you shoot for generational wealth, will you very easily be taken care of in this lifetime? Clinton, will you be taken care of in this lifetime if you shoot for generational? You know, Cassidy, will you be shooting for it? That's the thing. Thumbs up is good enough for me. I ultimately think our goal should be to be this thing called old money. Yes, what is old money? Old money is where the money you have has been working for generations type thing. Imagine if your great-great-grandmother bought 17 homes in the city center and left them to you in her will. Would you be happy that great-great-grandmother bought 17 homes X number of years ago and left them to you in her will? Absolutely. And that's what I want you to think about. Now, when it comes to the subject of money, this is my great friend, Sharon Lecter. That's me and Sharon and her husband, Michael. They have a beautiful ranch down in Arizona. And Sharon is the #1 best-selling author, nonfiction author in the world. She wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki. She's written all of these other things. Her book, Exit Rich, is phenomenal. And when I think about what she says here about, you've got to be, it's up to us as parents and grandparents to make sure our children are prepared for the financial world. Well, here's the problem with that. Most adults aren't prepared for the financial world. So how do they teach a kid? And that's where when I wrote the book, The Wealth Coach, it was because I got sick of parents not being able to teach their kids. Just today, I found a guy who's going to take that book and turn it into a comic book for me. So I have a comic book for kids to be able to read about money, but learn from Sharon, understand what she says. So here's the big question. Is it urgent for you to be rich? Is it a must for you to be rich? Or is it a, gee, that'd be nice? If it's a gee, that'd be nice, it's never going to happen. You have to commit. It has to be a must. It has to be. So you need to define. Let me tell you about my defining moment. 13 years of age. Actually, I'm going to age myself right here for a second, all right? Let me see hands from those who understand this. 13 years of age. My family, we moved from Darwin in Australia to Adelaide, South Australia. When we moved, I went from a school where, because Darwin's very hot all year round, shorts and a t-shirt is the thing. So we moved to a school where it's long pants, a button-down shirt, the whole thing, right? And the cool thing at the time, okay, here's the age factor coming out in me, and I'm going to see how many of it is for you. The cool thing at the time was Levi's 501 jeans. Wave at me if you remember, or if you owned a pair of Levi's 501 jeans, all right? Come on, Jason, you must have had a pair of Levi's 501. You probably still have a pair, right? I'm pretty sure somewhere in there's a pair of Levi's 501s, right? So what happened was we moved to Adelaide, and my mom didn't believe in what was cool. She believed in what we could afford, which was kind of a cool thing, I guess. So she bought me and my two brothers corduroy jeans from Kmart. Now, anyone remember wearing corduroy pants? You know what the problem with corduroy pants is? They make that sound when you walk, like your legs rub together. Goes, yeah, that's the one. And so here I am as a 13-year-old boy getting teased like anything, new kid in the school. So anyway, some kid teases me a little too much. I beat the snot out of him. I get taken to the principal's office. Principal calls my mom in. Mom's driving me home with the whole, wait till I tell your father, go to your room. I go to my room. I sneak out of my room. I find mom's cutting shears. I don't know if any of you remember when your mom had sewing shears, because she had sewing machine and everything. I found those, I got those jeans and I cut them up. And at 13 years of age, I literally committed myself that I would never again not have money to buy what I wanted. I went and got a job. I got a paper delivery route. I went and did anything I could, because at 13 years of age, I committed myself. And maybe today is your 13. Maybe today is the day you commit that you will always have more than enough, that you'll always be in that place. I think it's important to make that commitment at some point. See, what I did back then is I set the away goal. I set a goal of I will never not have enough. When I was 16, I met Mr. Rohn. Mr. Rohn taught me how to change that into a towards goal. How not the goal of never having enough was not, it was I don't want to be overweight. I don't want to work too many hours. You know how people have those don't want goals? Well, Mr. Rohn taught me to have a do want goals. So at 16 years of age, I turned to Mr. Rohn and I set the goal of I want to retire at 25. That was the goal I set. I want to financially retire at 25, 16 years old. Now, by the way, interestingly enough, I told my buddy Leon, and Leon lived on Pompadour Street, and Leon told his dad, yeah, Dad, Brad and I are going to retire at 25. And Leon's dad was an engineer with the city. He decided to sit us both down and tell us how that doesn't happen. And it can't happen. And I remember every time I bought a new car, I would drive around to Leon's dad's house and wave at him and say, thanks for being a motivator type thing, Yeah, it can happen. Actually, I didn't by 25. It was 26. When I sold my first company that paid me an annuity, it was 26 years of age. I could never work again if I wanted to stop at that point in time. I could live off of investments from 26 years of age. Now, of course, I've had 5 kids since then. And with 5 kids, of course, now, it's like, yeah, the costs are different, but the whole thing is very different towards that. But Mr. Rohn taught me to set towards goals, not I don't want to be overweight. I want to be able to run 5 miles 3 times a week. Not, I don't want to work too many hours. I want to be working 20 hours a week, 4 days a week, and that's all I want to work. You know, that's towards. Ultimately, though, I set a legacy. If you remember back to the start of this, I taught you my legacy goal, world abundance through business re-education. That's the legacy I aim to leave behind. People say to me, why do you keep teaching? I keep teaching for 3 reasons. Number 1, the legacy I want to leave behind. That's most important. Number 2 reason I keep teaching is because it keeps me sharp. The more I teach, like people say, why do you keep writing books? Because I keep having to think. If I'm going to write a book or write a training course, I have to think. I have to get better at it. It's like I now teach a 2-day course on digital marketing. To teach a 2-day course on digital marketing, first of all, I went out and bought 2 digital marketing agencies. I bought one in the UK and one in Australia. Or I bought shares. I didn't buy the whole thing. I bought shares. My partners in the business run the business. I own part of the business. But I had to learn that. So that's why I wrote the book, Raise Your Hand Marketing, because it's like I need to learn this stuff and I keep doing it. Third reason I keep teaching, and I'll make it very blunt for you. I buy a lot of companies. By being a great teacher, do you think I get put in front of a lot more companies that I want to buy than if I wasn't? My venture capital fund only invests in companies that we have as coaching clients. So it's one of the ways I get to see thousands of businesses every year that I have a chance to invest in. You know, that's the way we got to do it. You know, Natalie, stay focused on that. Absolutely. Make sure you stay focused on that. So let's aim for the legacy level goal. So what does that mean? The why you want to be wealthy, the why you want success is more important than the how. The commitment to your dreams and goals, that 13-year-old version of me, and I don't know when you'll commit to it. On my podcast, I asked every single one of the successful people on my podcast, when did you choose success? And almost every single one of them can tell me a moment in their life when they chose success. So I give it to you. When did you choose it, or are you choosing it today? This crazy young guy, oh my God, is he a crazy young man? He wanted us to go out and party with him in Dublin. I'm like, yeah, I don't have security here with me. I'm not going anywhere with you, young man. But we got to hang out. We had a little bit of fun. But when you look at his philosophy, and people don't understand how much he built that the whiskey company up for and sold it for. People are like, oh yeah, he was the front of a whiskey company. He wasn't the front man. He was the owner, or one of the owners of the whiskey company. And you start thinking about that sort of thing. But his middle quote there, the more you seek the uncomfortable, the more you will become comfortable. I love his philosophies. I love the way he does it. And he is probably one of the best marketers. He markets himself for those who love him and those who hate him at the same time. You know, so secret of real wealth. Let's go into it. Warren Buffett, genius at it. Venture capital funds, they do it. 3 asset classes, we've already mentioned them. Business, real estate, cash flow. For something to be an investment, what must it have? It must have cash flow and it must have capital. Write that down, okay? Must have cash flow, must have capital for it to be an investment. That's why there's only 3 classes. So what's the secret? The secret is really, really simple, okay? If you understood it though, and you got to play against the big boys, how much easier would wealth become for you? If you play the same game as them, it's different. If they're playing Monopoly and you're still playing Go Fish, it doesn't work. So capitalization at speed is key. What does that mean? If I build an asset and then I sell it, and then I build another asset and I sell it, I keep scaling up. If I build an asset and never, ever, ever, ever sell the asset, then I'm not capitalizing what I built. Capitalization, let's use Elon Musk as an example. What did Elon Musk first do? Built a company, sold it for 200 million. Used that 200 million to build 3 new companies that are now worth tens of billions, sort of thing. Each of them is worth tens of billions. You got to capitalize and scale, capitalize and scale, capitalize and scale. So this is how we do it. Business first, real estate second, shares third. Business, property, shares. Business, property, stocks, whichever way you do it. So in business, the formula is simple. Write it down. Buy them, build them, and sell them. I'm going to teach you my 8 rules right here, okay? So let's get to the 8 rules and let's understand it. We buy them first, we build them, and we sell them. Why? When I'm buying a business, I can have two things. One is a set of rules. The second is my niche. What is my rules and what is my niche, okay? So rules, let's get to it. Now, by the way, why do we need rules? Rules make us not a gambler, but an investor. A gambler doesn't have rules. An investor has a set of rules. By the way, someone said to me, well, what if I don't know what my rules should be? Then you better start studying so that you can document your rules. If you don't know what your rules are, then don't invest. If you don't have investment rules, if you haven't picked an investment niche, you don't know enough to commit your life savings. Does that make sense? Invest in knowledge first. Don't go and invest your life savings until you have the knowledge of how to do it. That's killer. So, niche we'll get to in a moment. So here's the rules. Rule number one, write all of these rules down, gang. Write them all down. Number one, the business is surviving despite itself. In other words, the business is making money even though the current managers or owners don't seem to have a clue. Somehow this thing is making money, and you look at it and you go, oh, it's the only coffee shop in this complex, or it's the only restaurant for 10 miles, or it's like it's surviving, and you go, these people have no idea. I'll give you an example. Two of my students in Australia, Mark and Sharon, they went and bought a coffee shop. Coffee shop had seating for 50 people. If you had seating for 50 people, how many coffee mugs would you have? More than 50, right? They had 37. Like, it could almost be called the owner is an idiot rule, okay? Like you're buying from someone who their common sense is just not existent. And you just walk in and you go, you haven't even cleaned the place. How do you expect to sell a lot when I can't find things? So rule number two, repeat business equals profit. What's rule number two? Write it down. Repeat business equals profit. If the business doesn't have repeat business, I broke this rule twice in my life. Once I bought a motorhome business, okay? Now I ended up turning it into a profit because I was selling motorhomes, okay? And I bought that business in 2006. Great time to buy a motorhome business. Gas prices went like this. The whole world blew up. So I turned it into a rental business, so it became a repeat business. But in the beginning, I was about to lose my shirt on the dang thing. My other one that I invested in through pure passion, I love the music of Buddy Holly, so I became a musical producer. And that cost me $2 million in putting on shows with the Buddy Holly story down in Australia. But yep, that one went. Goodbye, $2 million. That was a really lovely show. Could have paid for a ticket and flown to London and watched it over there. Anyway, rule number three, employees must be dang easy to find, and I really prefer if they're low skill. I don't want to be buying an architectural firm full of overpaid, over-egoed, over-educated, oversensitive architects who can steal my customers. I want a low-skill, easy-to-find staffing business. If I'm going to grow it, I need to be able to get staff. If I'm going to grow it, I need to be able to scale quick. I don't want to build a business that's hard to scale because I can't find people. Number 8, it's got to be a staple product or service. People always when I used to do live seminars, people would come up to me and say, you know, Brad, I've got this new product. It's the latest, greatest. It's the newest thing. No one knows about it. And I would just turn to them and go, I would say, listen, go sell shoes. Go sell shoes. And I was teaching that from like 2000, like even back in the 1990s when I was teaching. And then Zappos comes along and Tony and Andy Shea go out there and build a multi-billion-dollar shoe business, just selling shoes. Why? People have a budget for it. They know they need it. They run out. They're going to buy more, okay? By the way, Gona, can you put the link? I'm going to offer a deal later on. Put the link in the chat window. And only those who are ready for it. Actually, no, don't put it in there yet, Gona. Don't put it in there yet. Let me do it as a surprise in a minute. Rule number 5, invest in cash flow, not assets. I'm not going to buy an air conditioning manufacturing business. I'm going to buy an air conditioning servicing business. I don't want all of the plant and equipment. What I want is the cash flow. I'm not going to do a pool building business. I'm going to do a pool servicing business. Does that make sense, the difference between the two? Like I have a commercial cleaning business. Why do I own a commercial cleaning business? Not a lot of equipment, lots of cash flow. Okay, rule number 6, must have a great jockey. Now, this comes from, I've invested in a lot of racehorses in my life. And any of you think that that was an investment, I've got a bridge to sell you. No, it was not an investment, but I had a dang lot of fun. Actually, I'll tell you why I came to that. 9 years of age, my brother and I were with my dad. My dad loves the racehorses. We were in Darwin. That's where we lived. We were collecting aluminum cans or aluminum cans, right? We would go to the track, me and my brothers. We'd take a big trash bag and we'd collect cans because you got 5 cents a can in Darwin, right? So we'd collect them and go and make $20 on the weekend of all these people. But I remember watching a helicopter land in the middle of the racetrack. And I said to my dad, Dad, what's that? It must be one of the horse owners, son. When they own the racehorse, they're rich people. They come and land in their helicopter and watch their horse run. So I set it as a goal for myself unconsciously as a kid to own racehorses. And then literally 20 odd years later, owned a bunch of racehorses with my mates, Mick and Dave and Lee. And my good buddy at the time took me to, his name is Mick Doohan. You might, if any of you are motorcycle racing people, Mick flew us in his chopper. We landed at the racetrack, went and watched the races, had a big old party. And it's like, okay, done that, achieved that, ticked it off, no more racehorses from now on. But the great jockey is this. An average horse with a great jockey can win a race. A great horse with an awful jockey has no chance of winning a race. An average business with a great CEO can win. An awful business with a great CEO can win. But a great business with a bad CEO, a bad GM, a bad MD can't win. Got to have a great person in charge. In the beginning, it was me. I had to do it. Rule number 8, do the work. I look at 50 businesses before I buy one. I look at 50 businesses. Out of 50 that I look at, 10 of them will make an offer on. So 50 out of the 10 will meet our rules to make an offer. Out of 10 offers, we usually get acceptance or negotiation on 3. Out of 3 that accept our offer, after due diligence, we will only end up buying 1. 50, 10, 3, 1. Do the work. Don't be lazy. Don't look at one business and go and buy it. Rule number 8, it must be my deal. Once I have worked out how much the business is worth, I make them an offer and I'm done. I do not go out there and keep chasing this thing, okay? I make them an offer. That's my offer. If they want to accept it, great. If they don't want to accept it, also great. A buddy of mine years ago said to me, hey, Brad, remember the deal of the century comes along every week. Think about that for a second. But if I put my money into an average deal, when a great deal comes along, I got no money to put into the great deal. Be patient. Walk away from more deals than you take. Okay, so how do we build a business? Well, this is our system at ActionCOACH of how we build a business. Mastery, 4 areas of mastery that you got to learn. That breeds stability into the business. Marketing is second. That breeds cash flow into the business. We do the 5 ways to multiply your business profits. You got to read, study, learn all of these things. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute. The systemization, there's 9 steps to systematizing a business. There's 6 keys to a winning team. Scaling a business. When you build a business that's run by a management team, that scaling comes down to 5 core disciplines. Okay, you got to learn step by step by step. And ultimately that builds the freedom where you can decide to keep the business because it runs without you, or sell the business and capitalize up and go and do another one. Okay, that's the process by which wealth happens in business. If you want massive results, that's it. Now, selling a business, first thing you got to work out is how much can I multiply the profits by? If I buy a business, here's the key to this, right? Think about this. If I buy a business, what's the value of the business based on? The value of the business is based upon profitability. If I buy a business and I double the profits, I multiply the profits, what did I just do to the value of the business? If I double the profit, I double the value. What if I can triple the profits? What if I can do more than that? I remember Warren Buffett bought the company that manages our jets. It's really simple. NetJets, when Warren Buffett bought it, it was losing $50 million a year. Within 2 years, he had it making $900 million a year. Do you think he increased the value of that business substantially? Yes. The multiple is the number of times profit. Okay. John Denley, you hit it on the head. My 30X program. Love that program. Niche. Who I'm selling to, what niche am I selling within, determines what it says. And therefore, what are the values? Depending on how big it is, these are the things. Buy them, build them, and sell them. But here's the thing, learning to play the big game. I got the system for you, but you got to learn the system, okay? You want to make your dreams and goals a reality? Yes or yes. Give me a yes without a yes. Come on, gang. Get creative this time. Come on. I want something not one you used before. Are you willing to learn this thing? Yahoo! I like that one, Sarah. That's kind of a cool one. Indubitably, Marcus. Oh, we're getting the thesaurus out right now, huh? Either that or you're very good at this thing. So would you agree? If you're presented with an easier, faster, and better way, doesn't it make sense to just do it? And this is the crazy thing. People say, well, you know, I'm not sure I'm willing to work for 10 years. Really? Show me a better way. If you've got a faster way to get rich than what I can teach you, then great, go do that. If you don't have a better and faster way, you better follow this one. You know, how do we get there? Well, we do it step by step. I don't know if any of you remember who Buzz Aldrin is, second man to land on the moon. Well, this was me with Buzz doing zero gravity. Okay, he actually at one point was throwing M&Ms across in the plane because I do these big parabolas. He's throwing M&Ms across the plane. I'm catching M&Ms in zero gravity land. It's kind of fun. But what he says here, and what he talked about even when we met him, because we had dinner with him as well, is he said, you know what, we were on track to go to the moon a tiny percentage of the time. We were always making small corrections. And that's a big part of success. So cash flow and capital. So now if business is mainly for cash flow with capital gains, what are we going to do on the other side for capital? Well, what I learned by building great businesses, I had excess cash flow. I needed to invest it somewhere that was relatively easy. So let's do real estate in the fastest way possible, okay? How to build wealth through real estate in the fastest way possible. Are you with me? Let's go on this one, okay? Gona, by the way, put that link in now. The first 10 people only. I'm not even going to tell you what's in it. The first 10 people only will get a gift from me that is worth more than the entire thing added together. Now, real estate, rule number one, you've got to learn this rule, okay? This is what is the most important thing to understand. If you understand this one rule of real estate, you will get more wealth than anybody you know. It's one simple rule. What's the rule? Someone else pays for 80% of the real estate. If I go and buy a house tomorrow, and that house is worth $1 million, I'm just saying $1 million because it's an easy round number, right? How much cash do I need to come up with to pay for that $1 million house? How much? 200 grand, 20%. That's the average. I know in some markets it's going to be 30%. Other markets it's going to be 5%. But on average, it's 20% of the cash I got to put in. So I put 20% of cash in. I borrow 80% from the bank. The bank gives me an 80% mortgage, right? I put a tenant in the building. What is the job of the tenant? What is the job of the tenant? Not to pay rent. If you get rid of the word rent from your vocabulary, the only person that should have rent in their vocabulary is someone who is paying rent. As an investor, my tenant's job is to pay the mortgage. My tenant pays the mortgage. So over a 20-year mortgage, I put a tenant into the building. 20 years later, they paid for the building for me. Now, if the building did not go up in value at all, we know through history, and we can do our research where it goes up and where it doesn't. But if it didn't go up in value, by the way, who's clicked on that link? Click on the link right now. Make sure you have it there, because later on, you're going to need that link when I share with you what we're going to get. If I didn't go up in value at all, what percentage return have I made? 400%. I put in 200 grand. I've got $1 million. That's a 400% return in 20 years. Is 400% over 20 years a pretty nice return, even if it didn't go up in value, even if the rent never went up in price, even if nothing else went up and we did nothing else? We were the worst investor in the world. 400% return. Now, price goes up and people go, hey, it's cheaper to rent. So rent goes up and people go, hey, it's cheaper to buy. So price goes up. Hey, it's cheaper to rent. The rent goes up. It scales. It keeps doing that. It keeps ratcheting up, up and up and up. Now you can speed all of that stuff up. I have a very simple strategy that I teach, and during my programs, I can teach you all of this stuff so you can get it. It's buy it, renovate it, and redraw against it. I buy the property, I fix the property up, add about 30% in value by doing simple fix-up things, and then I go back and redraw my deposit. What does redrawing my deposit mean? My job in real estate is as fast as possible to get my deposit or my down payment back. In other words, I increase the value. Now, what's the slowest way to get my deposit back? Wait 10 years for the thing to go up in value and refinance it. That's the slowest way to get my deposit back. Fastest way, buy something that needs renovation, renovate it, add 30% value to it, go back to the bank and say, hey, look at what it's looking right now. The rent has gone up, the value is up, the curb appeals up, all those basic things, and boom, get my deposit back and go do it again. Not hard. Ultimately, we play the game of Monopoly in real life. We scale up, we scale up, we scale up. This group of people, you'll see that man in the middle there. His name is Ron Hoi Fong. Ron Hoi Fong runs a little group in New Zealand called Ronovations, based in Auckland, New Zealand. When I first taught Ron had no real estate. Then he built a whole bunch of real estate. Then he started teaching it. The strategy that I taught Ron, that he became a master of and teaches down in Auckland, New Zealand, is you buy a 2-bedroom apartment that has an extra large living space. Often it'll have a formal dining area, which no one uses a formal dining area anymore. Turn that into a 3rd bedroom. So it goes from being a 2-bed, 2-bath to a 3-bed, 2-bath with no city planning, anything. You just put up a couple of walls, put in a closet. In Auckland, New Zealand, at the time he started, they were adding about 26% increase in value for a 2-bed, 2-bath to a 3-bed, 2-bath. I was down there. This photo was taken the day his spiritual advisor and I were both there. This was taken when that group of students all together had created $1 billion worth of real estate portfolio in Auckland, New Zealand. That's how simple this stuff is. But people think it's got to be harder than that. No, what's hard is the learning. Make it with business, manage it with property, cash flow and capital, learn, earn, return, commit yourself to your dreams and goals, learn and plan, but do it with me. Click the link, get on there and do it with me. And then we take action. So, you know this, yes or yes. It doesn't matter. Now, what do you need to invest in first? Yourself. Best time to start investing? 20 years ago. Next best time? Today. You know, when I got to meet Gary, and, you know, NBA multiple championships, amazing player. His son is now playing in the NBA. You talk about a legacy. You make sacrifices. You sacrifice yourself. Do you want to possibly win a championship, or do you want to be the same person you were when you were 20 and get those same numbers? Love that statement, Gary. Brilliant, brilliant statement. So why now? 3 things. Number 1, the market right now, with inflationary forces, with the globalization of the market, with the employment way it is, the market is coming together right now where there's never been a better time to make a ton of money. This next run of the cycle is going to be phenomenal out there in the marketplace. Second thing is that the boomers retiring and the millennials coming through is creating massive wealth shifts, massive changes in the economy. And third of all, that globalization factor that we're seeing out there, phenomenal shifts in wealth when we're able to employ people on the other side of the planet at those rates to do the work on this side of the planet. Amazing. We must act now. Must act now. So here's the reality of today, though. All right. In the short time together today, I've tried to take 20,000 hours of knowledge and cram it into 90 minutes, or all, you know, we have about 30 minutes still to go. But if we packed in as much as we could, and even if you just used 1 or 2 ideas based on what you got here out of today, can you make a massive difference wealth plan? Now, I don't know what you knew about buying, building, and selling companies before you came here today, but it's a safe bet that some or all of what I covered today was new and valuable to you. Remember, we went over the success formula, okay? Remember, we went over the ladder that you've got to grow up. You have to grow through these things. Your knowledge has to get better. We went through the 8 rules. We went through how you buy it, how you build it, how you sell it. We looked at real estate, how that 80% return, 80% paid for by someone else is a 400% return. So here's my question. Was our time together today so far enjoyable? Have you found it valuable? Give me a yes or a yes. Do you have more clarity and confidence on your path to wealth? Have you come up with ideas on how you can build a plan for your wealth? Can you see how 1 or 2 things I showed you today can help you in your wealth plan, Clinton? Yes or no? Belinda, are we up for it? Are we going for it? Tanya, are we in? Also, is it fair to say that using this system will give you a significant advantage in your path? Can you beat the others? So there's 2 choices for you right now. Number 1 choice is go and use this stuff and do it yourself. And I have absolute confidence that if you do this stuff yourself, you will get great results. I'm certain that if you use what I teach, you can go out there and use the resources and make great results for yourself. And if that was the only option available to you, absolutely. If that was the only option available to you to be a worthy ideal to go and pursue, what if there was another way? What if there was a different option? One where it allowed you and I to do this together, where I could go in deeper than we can in 1 measly hour or 1 measly webinar connecting 1 measly tiny time. What if I played an active role in your results? What if I took responsibility in your success and had an obligation to your outcome? How would that make things different for you? Do you think that in a situation, if we got together every month, if we got together every day, do you think there's a chance that I could stack the deck in your favor and make success all but inevitable for you? If I was your mentor, if I was your coach every single day, every single week, if I gave you all of my shortcuts, my systems, all of the paperwork, all the things that we do every single day to get you the results, and really not just the results you desire, but the results you deserve if you're willing to do the work. If there was such an option for you, would you love to hear about it and what it could do for you? Yes or yes? Type it in for me. Give me a yes, and you can use for the first time the word yes today. If that option was available, type it in for me. Do you want to go and learn this? Is this something you want to study? Belinda, yes or yes? Go for it. I'm going to scroll through some photos here and see who's not typing for me. Mike, type in yes. Kevin, I didn't see your name come up. Jason. Mr. Chambers, get that yes right in there. Jolene, come on, there we go. John, yes. Grant, I know you're on your phone, but that's the thing. Well, that's why it's with great pleasure today for every single one of you to introduce you to my 90X program. 90X program, I'm going to revolutionize your thinking in the next 90 days. What if for the next 90 days, you and I got together for a half hour? Think of how much we've covered today in the time we've had together. But if I did 30 days with you on business, 30 days on success principles, and 30 days on wealth, what's going to happen 90 days from you? How much will your thinking be different if you and I had lunch together every day for the next 30 days? Imagine 30 days from now, we've eaten lunch together and you've sat and listened for 30 things. So 30X business. Now, this is what happened. You know, I told you I built that TV studio. What I did by building that TV studio is I sat for 30 days. Every day I wrote what I know about business, and then I recorded for 30 minutes every day for 30 straight days, then 30 days on life, and then 30 days on wealth. You'll also notice when you watch the program how from the start of the business one through the life one and through the wealth one, I actually got a lot fitter. So it was kind of crazy that during the whole COVID, I got fitter. Okay. Natalie, you've had lunch with me for 120 days now. Excellent. Going back through the whole thing. The link is right there. So creating your results in your life about the principle of success, all right? Life program is phenomenal. In fact, here's what, not just charisma, leadership, success formulas, but going into depth about everything that we do. Here's what we cover in that. The go big, communication, generalist, comfort zone, categories and roles, planning your life. Would you like a life plan 30 days from now? Then we go into business, growing your business. I've had more than 280,000 students in the subject of business come through my programs. You think about that, forget the books, just the programs that we've got. Here's what we cover in that one. I take you through everything on marketing, everything on team building, how to do sales better, convert, repeat business, how to get more average sale out of a customer, 30 minutes a day for 30 days, okay? Business partners as well as individuals. Everyone can watch the program together. You sign up for it and all of your team can watch this program together. Money and wealth, that's our next plan that we build together. Here's what we go over for 30 days. Everything about the mindset of wealth, then into how do you buy and sell companies? How do you do the real estate stuff? We go into detail on every single part of all of these things. That's why each program is 15 full hours. You got a 30-day plan for your life, 30 days to plan your life, 30 days to plan your business, your wealth, 90 days to give you the confidence, certainty, and knowledge and ability to actually work. Think of how fast you can move. By the way, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of stuff. Hang 5. I'm going to show you what else you're going to get as part of this thing because I want you to get there. Think of how fast this will come to you 90 days from now. You know, I've literally tens of thousands of testimonials from students. You can go on my Facebook and see it. You can go and look at all the different things. You know, all of these different aspects of people that have learned with and from me and my students around the world. 30 minutes a day, build a habit, 90 days, new way of thinking, new way of doing, new life. This is the culmination of 30 years of doing business, all put into one place, 30 years of investing, building a great thing. Every student, I love my students and I love what they get to do. And I hope that in 90 days from now, you're sending me a testimonial just like this. You know, that's what I want to see. Oh yeah, this little guy, Tony Robbins. Anyone ever been to a Tony Robbins program? I was lucky enough to hang out with Tony and his wife back then on their private island, Namale. And this was just in the village in Namale with a couple of friends. And I love the idea. He says, if you envision it as possible, if you schedule it, it's real. So schedule lunch, you and me, or breakfast. I don't care which one you do, breakfast, lunch, dinner, let's eat together for 30 days in a row. Okay, that's what happened. Michael Yardney, oh my God, Michael's built a massive real estate company down in Melbourne, Australia right now. Metropole Properties. He came to me 20-something years ago. We sat down and did that thing. And in the initial few weeks, he made his money back tenfold. See, how much do you got to invest to do this? Well, in the right hands, I mean, this thing's worth $1 million in the right hands, hundreds of millions. If you do what John did over 20 years. But if I asked you to invest 100 grand, it'd make sense, wouldn't it? If I made you 100 grand in 12 months, that's 100% return on investment. That's fair, right? Problem is, I'm in the business of making it easy. If I said 20 grand and I got you that 20 grand back in 90 or 100 or 360 days, it'd make sense. Originally, I sold these 3 programs for 3 grand. It was our test pricing. We didn't know what we were going to price them at. But you got to remember one thing. What's my vision? World abundance through business re-education. So I'm going to do it for you today. Here's the deal, right? John, you ready? Grant, you ready? Because of my vision, I'm going to make it for you where it's just enough pain that you will do it, but not enough pain to stop you planning for it. Just enough pain for you to do it, but not enough pain for you to do it. There's the link. In fact, put the link in the chat window again for me, Sarah, or go to one of the team. If you commit to yourself and join today, make a decision right here, right now. Make that decision right here, right now. By the way, the first 10, I'm not sure if the first 10 are done. In fact, however many it is, up until 1 minute from now, I'll include you because I don't know how many you got done. The team, I'm not looking at the numbers. But here's what else you get. Every day for the 30 days of each challenge. So the 30 days on life, every day, I'm going to put you in a group call where you get to discuss your learnings and how you're going to apply them. You get to ask questions of one of my coaches and learn how to apply it. Then monthly, every month, you and I and every 90X alumni come together and you can ask me any question you like. What's the economy doing? Where should we invest? What should we be doing? What's happening in this market? What's doing this? Where is that? Every day I go through, every month we get on that Q&A call, every 90X alumni. The community, you get put into the group. And you know what? Finding your tribe is one of the most valuable things you can do in life. Finding another group of people who are ready to actually take action, finding a group of people who want to grow the same way you want to grow, massively important out there in the marketplace. And we know that that's a thing. Even if it's for no other reason than a place where you can celebrate your successes and know that everyone's excited about you being successful. You know, that's a big part of it. Learnings keep going. If it takes you 10 times through this thing for you to get it, great, do it 10 times. This is a lifetime subscription. You get into this for your life. This is not once off. You get to do it one time. This is for your life. If it takes 3 or 5 years for me to keep teaching you until you finally get this thing, if it takes 10 years for you to get it, I don't care. However long it takes, we are there with you. Now, also, every single business owner, whether you do it for a business you own right now or a business you own in the future, because I own Action Coach, I'm going to buy every one of you that buys this thing a 90-minute strategy session with one of my coaches, where they'll help you build your 90-day business plan. Just that alone is worth, what, 3.5 times the price of buying the dang thing. But think about what you can do. This is a massive part of it. So here's what you get. 30X life program, 30X business, 30X wealth. I'm going to get to questions. So yes, if you've got questions, please type them in. I know I've got a few sent direct to me from the team already. Monthly Q&A calls, the tribe that you get to hang out with, the daily calls, the lifetime of learning, and the free coaching session, all included, the $297. Click the link and come do it. Here's just what a few people have said about the 30X programs, okay? What is it about it? And I see a few of you have already been on 90X, have already typed in up there in the window and said your experience of being a part of what we do. I love that you're here. I love that you're learning again. I love that you're focused on staying with it. So here's a question for you. For those of you who are a little worried, I'm going to give you a better than 100% money back guarantee. Here's the thing. 30 days into this thing, if you don't feel like you've already got $10,000 worth of value 30 days in, one program in, ask my team for a refund. Send them a note, say, I want a refund. We'll give you the refund. Hey, presto, you get it. See, here's the thing. There are 2 no-risk options today. Number 1 is do nothing. No risk. You don't put out any money, there's no risk. Great. The second no-risk option is to buy the thing. Now, here's the crazy part about it. You don't buy a house by looking at it from the outside. You don't go up to the street and go, oh, let me look at this house and see if I'll buy it. No, you go inside. And once you're inside, you look around and go, yes, this is what I wanted. So get inside with me. Come join us. If it's not what we say it is, if it's not more amazing than what I've said, if it doesn't get you $10,000 worth of value in the first 30 days, just say, hey, it's not the house for me. I'd like my money back before you even have to pay your credit card bill. It makes no sense to not come join us. In fact, I made a mistake there. Doing nothing is possibly the biggest risk you can take. Doing nothing, changing nothing is possibly the biggest risk. So make that step, go do it, all right? Now, by the way, imagine that 90 days from now, where your brain will be. You know, I literally guarantee this thing. Imagine what would happen, though, if you did build generational wealth for you and your family. Imagine what could happen if that actually became the reality for you today. You start training today. You and I sit together for another 30 minutes here today, or you can start in the morning at breakfast, whatever it is you want to do. Lord Sugar, actually, he made a lot of fun out of me when, I don't know if many of you have met him. He's the, he runs the massive company in real estate, but he started in technology. And Lord Sugar said, he made a joke with me saying, Brad, did you change your name just so you could actually get to interview me? I said, no, I thought we were related. And anyway, he runs The Apprentice in the UK, the TV show The Apprentice in the UK. He's the front man of that. But I'm going to bring out that entrepreneur in every single one of you. I'm going to bring it out and help you become that amazing entrepreneur. Finishing up today before I get to questions. If you're in the maybe category, my experience says that if you're in the maybes, it's because of one of 3 things. You know, there's something getting in the way of you making a yes decision. And usually it's one of these 3 things, okay? First thing is time. You know, the reality is we all have 24/7. There's no magic to your time, okay? It's not how much time you have, it's what you do with your time. So if mentally right now you were to think, okay, here's the top things I'm doing to build wealth, to build business success. Here's the top things that I'm doing right now to do that. And you said, okay, what's the worst of those 10 things? What's the one that's not working for me? Cross that out off your list and write in Brad Sugars. Cross it out, write in Brad. Start half an hour with me for the next 90 days. That's what we got to do. Allocate the time. While you're eating lunch, you and I have lunch together. The money. If it's about the money, yes, there's massive demands on money for all of us. It doesn't matter how much you got, there's still demands on you for money. But you got to look at investing versus spending right now. Where am I going to invest this money? If you had to find $297, you know you can. What if it had changed the entire thing? And by the way, if in 30 days you don't love it, my guarantee says you get to keep it all for free. And someone says, don't people rip you off for that? You know, for the one dishonest person in every 1,000 people that's honest, I really couldn't care less. So click the link. Come join us. Okay. Yeah, stop watching Netflix. Thanks, John. That's a good one. There you go. One less episode on Netflix. Oh. Actually, is this cheaper than Netflix? It might be. I don't know. Oh. Cheaper than a pair of Levi's 501s these days, that's for sure. If we go back to that one. Will it work for me? But the only way you know that something's going to work for you is if you get on the inside. So get on the inside with us. There's no risk. It's real simple. Change your mindset, change your results. 90 days from now, let's change your massive results. Team, can you start tagging the questions for me, please, so I can get to those questions? I don't know if any of you remember this guy, Mikhail Gorbachev, you know, stopped the Cold War, leader of the Russian people. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. If what you've done yesterday still looks big to you, you haven't done much today. Making decisions bring out fear and excitement. Great decisions, excitement beats fear. Great decisions, you let the excitement of what could happen beat the fear of maybe this won't happen. Great to have you in, Steve. My greatest mentor, Jim Rohn. Unfortunately, I never took a picture with Mr. Rohn. I met him when I was 16 years of age, and then I was his opening act at the Sydney Convention Center when I was 31 years of age. I took him my notes, and I had him take a look at my notes from when I was 16. He said 3 things. Never wish your life were easier, wish you were better. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job, and read a book a week for the rest of your life. I've got your next 18 weeks handled, by the way. Get on Amazon. 18 bucks. Go read them all. I don't know if any of you know the Black Eyed Peas. I love the music of Black Eyed Peas. I got to meet will.i.am after a U2 concert, which he opened for. And there's no problems that can't be solved. The world is too full of options. Think of the options you have if you get the knowledge. Answer's always there if you look in the right place. My statement to you today is my goal of being your teacher is to help you be the best you that you can be. Help you become the best version of you. My buddy Steve Irwin, unfortunately passed. That's actually me with Bindi and Rob and Terry, and me and my wife Lauren. That's my kids with them up the top there when Bindi and Robert were just babies. And that's us feeding a crocodile right there in the middle. Education is all about being excited about something. If you don't see a teacher that's more excited about teaching you than you are about learning, if I wasn't more excited about teaching you today than you were about learning, I'll give up this teaching thing. Teachers got to be excited about what they're teaching you. Make sure of it. So 90X, let's get your questions. Let's start putting them out there. We got a lot to do. There's the list. All right. Really fun to see your work again. Thanks for opening my eyes to potential business coaching. I'm still working, enjoying it more than ever. Hey, Dave, great to have you back again, buddy. Great to see you on the call today. John, there's no way you want your money back. Yes, John, you are one of my raving fans. I love you for it. I love the results you're getting. Questions. Okay, here's 3 the team have sent direct. Okay, buying businesses. Buying businesses is really about creating a set of rules. It takes me 2 days to teach that live with people, but we spend 4 days of the 30X on the rules of buying a business, what you should do, what you shouldn't, how you can, how you can't, what you need to do, what you don't need to do. Very important part of that. Oh, this one here is the Prime Minister of Australia. I used to be involved in politics a lot when I was down in Australia. I got to have lunch and dinner with the Honourable John Howard many, many times. And he just reminds us of this thing. You can't fatten the pig on market day. Don't wait till retirement to get rich. You got to start getting rich now so that on retirement day, you're already rich. Yes, I used to wear glasses. Speaking of the subject of rich, this was the greatest money teacher I ever had, Dr. Frederick Carter, Reverend Ike. I bought the Reverend out of retirement when he was 80 odd years of age. And he called me Brother Sugarman. He said, your name shouldn't be Sugars, you should be Jewish the way you teach money. And it was like, you're Brother Sugarman to me. Nothing decisive will happen in your life until you really make a decision. The best thing you can do for the poor is to not be one of them. So this is the program. Back to that question. Is building a business as easy as all that? No, building a business takes work. It takes work, but it takes knowledge before work. Knowledge comes before work. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I can say to anyone is that if you get the knowledge, then you can get the work done. That's the simplest way to take a look at this thing. The knowledge comes first, the work comes second. Other questions, team? Please just keep tagging any of the questions and shooting them through to me direct. Thanks, Sarah or Gona. Okay, what's this next one? Yes, it's a simple one. Multiple people can watch the 30X programs together. Yes, if you have a business partner or a husband and wife, or you want your kids to watch it with you, yes, multiple people can watch that. That's definitely a part of it. You can watch it multiple times too. It's not just about multiple people. It's also about multiple times that you can go through that whole thing. So make sure that you do that. Everyone keeps studying and everyone keeps growing. Next one. Oh, what is the gift the first 10 people get? The first 10 people, we're going to do a private half hour on Zoom where each of you asks me questions. So the first 10 people that were in, or anyone that was in by the time I said we're done at that point, those people get to sit on a private Zoom with me asking me questions. So whatever questions you have around money or business, that's the thing. If you have the program already, please email support@bradsugars.com, Sasha. Okay. Is there anything that we should prepare for our first session? Chantel, the team emails you everything you need for that first session. The team will shoot you an email. There'll be a short video in there with me, and they'll email you all of that stuff. So perfect to have you here, and great to have you on the call with me again. Can't wait to see your results through that. The marketing course. The 2-day marketing course is a 2-day, $2,000 program where we build your digital marketing plan. I bring in my partners who run my digital marketing agencies, and I teach you for 2 days how to build. We go through 3 steps in the digital marketing. Step 1 is how you actually get people to raise their hand, no matter the platform, whether it's email, website, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever the platform, how to get people to raise their hands. Step 2 is where we teach you how to get conversations happening with people. Okay, so step 2 is conversations. Gona, do we have a link for that direct? Or do actually people have to do the 90X before they're allowed on that? And what's the system? I don't even know the system on that. If you can just type it into the chat when those people know. So step 2 is taking raised hands, turning them into conversations. And step 3 is taking conversations and turning them into conversions. So it's raised hand, conversation, then conversion. All right. I have taken up all of the time I allocated today for you, team. We're at 92 minutes. I'm really prepared, everyone, 90X to prepare for raise your hand. If you can just give them the link to raise your hand for those who already have it, please, Gona. That's the thing. So yeah, Anil, I'll give you that. And then the entrepreneurs training, Anil, is that the one you're looking for? That's my live programs. I don't actually do them face-to-face anymore because I don't travel anymore to do work. I only travel for pleasure these days. So I only do one live thing where I bring people in, and that's my $100 million week where we create billion-dollar business plans for companies. But listen, thanks for being with me for 90 minutes, sticking around. All of you that are here right now, I want you to know one thing. Take action. Join me on the program. Let's get going. Let's do 90 days from now and have a great time. Archie, thanks for being here. John, thanks for being here. Natalie, great to have you. Everybody that's on the call. Clinton, great to be here with you all today. Look forward to chatting again soon. Bye, everybody. Thanks.